Okay, over to you, Tarmo.
So hi, yeah, my name is Tarmo. I'm one of the founders and CEO at Warren. I'm joined by Henry and Rauno, and I'm here to start off a quick demo running on Equinix Metal. Quickly share my screen as well. As a brief intro overall, what we are aiming to do or build is we're moving towards building out a distributed public cloud, and we are doing it by, first of all, by building the platform that the local hosting companies, cloud providers, infrastructure as a service providers can use with a long-term goal to connect those different providers into a coherent network that end users could consume as if it was one large provider, but really it's a set of independent providers underneath. And as I said, we are doing it by kind of giving them the entire software stack, meaning that usually they don't need to have anything else than hardware. The software stack includes the management of the compute resources, the network layer, the distributed storage, and a bunch of additional features on top of it, and also end user management in terms of how to provide support, the billing side of things, invoicing, all those things are built into it. So once you log in, that's the welcome screen you'll see, promoting the core services under App Catalog. Obviously, each provider can set up as many applications as they want. And under Managed Services, I added one demo service here as well. Those are fully managed services by third parties, meaning that the end user actually gets the final service instead of the underlying infrastructure. Getting started with the compute part, if you create new, as you would expect, and virtual machine, here can be as many different OSs as the provider choose to enable. Define the size of what they want to build. It's extremely granular, so meaning that there is no kind of preset of machines that you can use, but you can actually combine whatever machine you want yourself. And the entire price list of all resources actually start off with just the base building blocks like CPU, like memory, like disk, and so forth. And it also includes a kind of granular pricing system, which many of the public providers choose to use, meaning that they can sell off smaller machines up to a certain amount of CPU and RAM with lower prices, and then if you're building larger machines, the price gets higher. Setting up a new machine is pretty much as you would expect. We focus mostly on ease of use, so we're kind of asked to fill as few forms as possible, but as much as necessary. And under application, it's the same thing, just to get the app with it as well. To save time, I've already spun up a few machines. So there's one Ubuntu machine with basic metrics, with disks. You can add additional disks. And again, the storage is entirely runs on Ceph and is fully distributed. We get to the value of it later on as well. Built-in backups and built-in snapshots. So here I have backups already enabled, but with one click, I can also disable it and no more backups will be done. Here I have a kind of similar machine with nothing turned on, and taking a snapshot is also just a one click and you can already spin up a new machine using it or restore it and so forth. So again, focus on ease of use, and all the backups and snapshots and so forth are all incremental in technically speaking, so they take as little room as possible. As was mentioned, obviously you have SSH built in. You can also have virtual console if you need a kind of more pure connection to the machine. In terms of Windows VMs, the same feature is usable for actual virtual console. So we can run a Windows, or if you go to full screen, I can turn my computer into Windows, again, making it easy to use for the end user. Same flow and same logic across the board. The user interface is a single click application, meaning that there's no kind of full loads or anything like that. Kind of demoing from that angle, it also has this tabbed interface, so you can actually deal with several machines at the same time. Again, kind of making it easier and more convenient for the user, and it also has several reasons looking forward to features we are still building. On the storage, so those pockets here are object storage pockets, and creating a new one is obviously just one click. And there you go. On the network, you can add floating IPs that are currently managed through Equinix Metal Gateway, and virtual private networks you can set up to kind of build more complex infrastructures. While we're on the network topic, the network framework itself we are using is Tungsten Fabric. So yeah, from technical perspective. In terms of, again, the end user pricing and all of that, you can price, let's say, IPs when they're used, not used, all those things are provided by the platform, and makes it easy to handle your end users. Under the services, as I said, there's one Postgres demo service running here as well, with a failover feature included, meaning that there's anything happens to the database, the other node takes over and it can keep going. And here's one kind of sample DB running as well, metrics for both nodes, and it automatically does all the backups for both nodes to restore if there's anything wrong. Under access management, obviously, everything runs over APIs. The system internally uses APIs, but outside we have a end user API, administrator API, and actually secondary administrator API for using GraphQL for another set of queries to make it easier. And you can also delegate access into the user interface for less technical users. And they can just kind of act as you in the system. And all those keys, whether it's delegation or AP tokens, can be restricted for a specific billing account, or they can be global and work across all billing accounts that you have. As we were saying, talking about billing accounts, end users can actually have several billing accounts. So let's say you work for different companies, or you have a personal set of resources and also company resources. It helps to keep track of those. The platform has both pre and post payment billing methods built into it. So in some markets, let's say we have a deployment in Estonia, which uses post payment. So people pay monthly and use credit cards. We have 5 different deployments in Indonesia, as example. They all use prepayment system where end users actually top up their account and use the credit over time this way. And yeah, obviously you can see which resources are connected to a specific billing account, and you can see previous reports, invoices, basically. Finally, the admin aspect is something that the normal end user doesn't see, but as I have admin rights, I obviously have. So this block represents a hypervisor. We have clusters running with around 200 hypervisors and working fine. In that case, you obviously have a bunch of those graphs in front of you, but it gives a very good overview of how well the resources are balanced and so forth. It also supports multi-location. So if you have the platform deployed in several different data centers, you could manage all of them in one place. And then when you're creating new resources, then you can obviously just choose which location you want to create the resources to. And the dashboard covers kind of the basic, rather business metrics, how your conversions are going, whether clients are paying your invoices, what they are building, what the usage is over time, and so on. In terms of users, that's probably most used for, let's say, support. Let's say a user owner has some sort of an issue, meaning and I want to help. The easiest way is to actually impersonate him. So I can go in and act as this specific user and intervene and help whatever trouble the user was having. And then with one click, go back to being myself. Yeah, billing accounts covers obviously what the status are for different end users in terms of credit. And there's a lot of different level restrictions, how much they can use the resources initially, then you can remove the limit so they can build larger environments, and many other different statuses. You can give them free credit or bonus credit and so forth. In terms of, let's say, VMs, obviously you can get a good overview of where it runs, at what it runs, and so on. But I think that providers usually tend to use this for is mostly migrating, live migrating, I might add, certain VMs to another hypervisor, whether there's a suspicious user and they want to validate if there's any problem with a specific user, or they're eating up resources. You can kind of isolate one user from others, or you can balance different hypervisors if you see that certain users are kind of using too much RAM and could be better fitted on another hypervisor, and all that can be done without any downtime for the end user, obviously. Skipping forward, hosts. So those are the hypervisors in this pool. So here as a demo, we have 2 hypervisors set up, and here you can define in what state it is. But the main point is usually, let's say you have a hardware failure and you want to fix it, you put it in a maintenance mode, or end user resources are spawn up on other hypervisors. You can fix whatever the hardware issue was and set it back into pool later on and make it available again to start accepting workloads. And yeah, and in terms of the set of things you can configure in this admin panel here, but most of the kind of configurations in terms of the platform itself are rather not covered by user interface yet, but those are kind of the configurations that can be done in the backend side. And this is where the provider can manage what applications they have they offer as a preset for their end users, manage prices and so forth. So that's kind of the quick overview in a nutshell.
Thanks, Tarmo. Do we want to pause for some questions? That was a lot of good stuff, so I want to make sure. Anyone on our Equinix Metal time or Equinix Metal slide have any questions?
I'm first to unmute. How much of this is real versus just like demo content? Like
everything is real.
This is all real? Wow.
This is all real, running on Equinix Metal on those machines.
And so, all right, so the billing account stuff, is that all stuff that, are you kind of like a proxy layer to billing then, or is that their Equinix Metal billing? Because there are some features that are, I wasn't sure if it's like when you create a VM, you're able to associate it with a specific billing account. I don't know that we have that capability. So are you like acting as a broker to billing in this environment?
So those VMs and so it has a Stripe integration. It's not connected to Equinix billing system. it has its own, as the provider usually is the actual merchant, and that's, yeah.
Right. So it's like the ideal. So who's like the ideal customer of this? This is like value added reseller as a service. Like this one of the things that came to, so I previously worked at Linode, and like so many of the features of this UI align more with the features that are in the Linode UI because of all the VM management that was there, the offering an app catalog and the live migration on the admin side, all these sort of features. So what this made me think of is like how Amazon has the Amazon Light Sail interface, which is like a scaled down interface, simpler to use. And so I could see, like if Equinix wanted to, or, if you're pitching the same sort of integration to other clouds, if Equinix wanted to have that sort of light sail experience, then this could be the way that they go about that. Or this could be something for anybody who wants to start their own VM management control plane service, like just adopt this service. So who are you kind of targeting with all of this?
Short answer is yes. So the interface and the entire system is fully white labeled. So we don't push our own brand or anything like that. We partner with, as I said, in some cases with the data center who actually owns the building, the hardware, and the service. In some cases, the company we partner with is just a service provider, and they rent data center space, and sometimes they buy the hardware, sometimes they even rent the hardware. So it very much depends. As long as they offer the services, that's the important part for us. We partner with them with the revenue share business model. So it basically has zero upfront costs. They set up the hardware or give access to whatever hardware they normally have. Quite often we consult them in terms of how to best set it up to maximize, again, the redundancy and those things. And other than that, we deploy the software and manage it over time. We release new updates, roughly speaking, every other week, and take full kind of responsibility and control of the software layer. And we split the revenue 20-80 with the partners we have. Everybody on the kind of on the same level, because in the end, as I said, the aim is really to connect those different providers into a unified network. So from the end user's perspective, through coming into the network using whichever one of those providers, they could really consume all resources within the network provided by different data centers and hosting components.
Something else comes to mind is so the multi-tenancy aspect of this, as you'd be in this example, you've got however many Equinix Metal hosts, and then you have hundreds or thousands of customers potentially running on those. I can understand at the VM layer and with your software how you're taking advantage of like off-the-shelf multi-tenancy stuff. And then, along with plenty of customizations, right? But then on the networking side, I'm curious. So you're not relying on multi-tenancy of our native networks, I assume. Like you've got some overlay networks, but then, and you did mention, I forget which tool, but you did mention one. Do you take advantage of a lot of our networking primitives? And you mentioned gateway, but have you looked at like fabric connections and like integrating that into this experience?
Rauno, maybe you can answer this question better than I could.
At the moment, we haven't integrated any of the other network possibilities from Equinix, only the metal gateway part. And the software we are using for the overlay is the Tungsten Fabric, formerly known as Juniper's Open Contrail. But we are interested in integrating other functionalities of Equinix network parts also, yeah.